Dominus testamentum pacis, et principem vegetatum, ut sit in sacerdote dignitas, in aeternum. Memento Domine David, et omnis consuetudinis eius. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sic ut erat in principio et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Statuite Dominus testamentum pacis, et principem vegetatum, ut sit in sacerdote dignitas, in aeternum. St Januarius was martyred with companions, no doubt, in the last great persecution, that of Diocletian, 304. He was Bishop of Benevento, and we have this strange phenomenon on this day, the liquefaction of his dried blood in that vial which is kept in Naples, of which he is the patron saint. He is called familiarly San Gennaro, an abbreviation of Januarius. It happens actually more than once in the year, about 3 occasions, but it does not happen automatically. Indeed, 2 years ago, there was consternation in the whole area of Naples, for it did not happen on the feast day. It did not happen on this 19th of September. And that usually means something. It has happened a few times in the past, before an eruption of Vesuvius, for instance, or of some other catastrophe. But there was much talk for a long time in the area regarding the reason this time. And those of faith concluded calmly and placidly that the saint could no longer encourage being used as some kind of theatrical performer and actor, a spectacle for all to gaze at and applaud, without the commitment of a living faith. We had a friend at St. Antimo. His name was Antimo, but he was from the area of Naples, I believe actually from St. Antimo down there, and he would spend the whole morning in the cathedral, as would the faithful, the real faithful, in celebrating the feast with devotion and preparation. But it would seem the problem had been that people were wanting just the spectacle, the theatrical bit, the magical bit, without that. And the sign did not come. Something similar happened, actually, I am told, not long before we got one time to one of the apparitions at Medjugorje. We were there, and because we were priests, we were able to be right next to Maria. And it was interesting to note how there she was, right before me, because I was being asked to lead some of the rosary, or what the prayers were. They were the rosary prayers. And at a certain point, she just zoomed out of this field of perception, and you could see that she was not with us in the same way. But the important thing was this: Our Lady actually did do something similar. Not on our occasion, on the occasion of an earlier apparition, when she delayed her coming by about 10 minutes and gave to understand why. There were those there, and I think actually specifically priests, who were sitting around with crossed legs as though they were at some performance and had not pleased heaven. And we were given to understand that one has to prepare one's heart, mind and body for an encounter of this nature. So the following year, at Naples, it did occur, because people did do the proper preparation with the spirit wanted by heaven. And there was great acclamation, and in the hands of the Cardinal Archbishop of Naples, the blood liquefied. To return for a second to that parallel experience which I had years ago, there, right next to Maria, who was much younger in those days. She remained in ecstasy for longer than usual, and when she came to, she explained why Our Lady had delayed longer, and it was something very touching, especially it was just after my ordination. She, our Blessed Lady, was happy to see so many priests there, and she smiled at us. That is a reminder of the link between the priesthood and our Blessed Mother. She depends on us to do well what she cannot do, and she is horrified by precisely this mode of performing, even actually in the liturgical realm, as though we can use the sacred mysteries as a show, and worse still, a show in which we are on show. It does not please heaven when the optic changes from that of praise of God to praise of man, manifested precisely by that response of a praise of man, which is the clapping of the hands. One year in a monastery, because of the link that we had with Naples, both by our friends who lived there in that area, and also by the nuns who had their mother house in the area, because there were nuns who used to come to us for their monthly retreat, who were very close to us physically and spiritually. And they had a great spirituality of Eucharistic adoration and of reparation. They had, in one of their major houses in the area, down there in Naples, a similar miracle, an annual miracle, far less known and therefore less frequented, but it's happening still in their chapel, and it's happened for a long time. It is the liquefaction of the blood of another early church martyr, Santa Patrizia, St. Patricia. It happens there, and only a few know about it. And I was asked to go there as a friend, and I was going to go, but unfortunately the Archbishop just happened to call us all for a meeting with him, and he came to our monastery that very day, so it was not possible. But it still happens, and these are reminders that heaven is very much on earth and at work on earth, and very sensitive to the way that we respond. It is important the way that we comport ourselves, physically, mentally, spiritually, when handling our God. For that God is the God who is silent here, but one day will have the last word. Laudate Domini.